This is Mimic, just a little stealth masterpiece we churned out for this year's GMTK Game Jam. In Mimic, you play as this dapper little chess dude right here. He's sneaking around trying to munch on little dungeoneers before they can crack you open like a clam. But don't let the G-rated graphics fool you. Underneath, we're packing a fully loaded 6-cylinder AI stealth engine that makes Metal Gear jealous. So by court order, I'm gonna show you the behind-the-scenes process to making this little stealth game in just 2 days.
Addy.
Although I may seem like one of those sexy, aloof lone wolf types, I teamed up with my buddy Stone King for this year's Game Jam. He's not much of a game maker, but he plays keyboard for a local touring band and programs drones to shoot bottle caps through people's brains overseas. So the way we started is that we sat down, came up with a bunch of ideas around the theme, roles reversed. Like a fish fishing for fishermen, a chick that's trying not to fall in love in a dating sim. But we ended on treasure trying to hunt you. You are the treasure doing the hunting. Now, I wanted to do a little bit of stealth shit. I've been reading a lot about like the Hitman level design and stuff like that. So I thought it could be fun. Kind of apply the knowledge that I've been reading about. Now you may have noticed that it's got kind of a bit of like a really lo-fi look, and that's because we used the Pico 8 game engine. For those of you who don't know, Pico 8 is a fantasy console known for its 8-bit aesthetic. It's only got 32 kilobytes of memory, 4 audio channels, and 16 color palette, but you can increase that if you know the codes. Beep, boop, beep, boop. Now for up to me, I'd like to stick with my usual game maker, but, you know, I thought the challenge could be fun. Stone King thought it'd be easy to learn. No much? No much? We were wrong. The initial hours were smooth. Pico 8's retro interface is like a game in and of itself, lowering your guard so you can get lost within its walls. Boy, was I lost. Look at this shit. Trying to code in this thing is like writing Shakespeare on a Tamagotchi. You want to write more than 5 lines of code? Good luck finding it. But I won't code in conditions like this. Oh, fuck. And don't get me started about the weird audio mixer. I'm not using it. The pixel art, super easy, super smooth. 16 colors feels good, feels right. And I can make a little one-eyed chest goblin work no problem. If Pico 8 is a dom, I'm a happy sub. Restrict me, daddy.
Why is this video so sexual?
I don't know. It was a funny joke. Stone King was given some simpler tasks, like trying to get the room to load. And I worked on getting the little chest boy bouncing on a grid. Why a grid, you might ask? Good question, turbo nerd I invented in my mind. The reason the player moves on the grid is not for the player's sake, but for my sake. A lot of games are designed around a player power fantasy. Player swings sword, sword kills monster, player feels like a big man, monster's wife wishes they got life insurance, monster's kids grow up on the street, grow up angry at the world, angry at wife, angry at player swings sword, and the circle of life continues. Now stealth games are a little less like Lion King and more like Sneaky Fox getting shot by the Hound. I don't think that's how it happened. In stealth games, enemy AI has to see the player. I knew later on when I was going to be programming the enemy AI, restricting the player on a grid was going to make it a lot easier. Pico 8 isn't built to do crazy things like raycasting. It's not built for anything. It's not built for any human or woman. So an easier way to do these sight checks is just to check each individual cell. Is the player in that one? Are they on the same row, the same column? And are there any blocks in the way? I could do that. I can make that. No problem. I got him to bounce around. Super cute, super wonderful. Look at those little dust particles. Oh, mwah. Got him to do a little bite. Did take a whole day. At the end of the first day, we had the player done. No enemies yet. We set the groundwork. We're good. No levels loading. In fact, I was too busy the entire time to teach Stone King how to do anything. He was just reading the manual. Maybe that was my bad, but maybe he should have thought about knowing how to do game development before he started doing game development. Stone King was having a bit of a rough time. It sucks when you feel like you should know how to do something. He has a programming background. It should be easy, but the skills don't really carry over the same way. We decided to kind of switch gears at the end of the day. Instead of working on the levels loading, he would work on the music. Day number 2. Segoi! Now, day 2 was about making the enemies happen. Since it's a stealth game, there's no game unless you have enemy AI. So most of our play testing just revolved around moving a chest around. Nice. Now by this time, Pico 8 would kind of made a little bit more sense to me. When making the pixel art for the enemies, I just made sure that they had 4 directions so the player can know what way they're facing, and a shield just so the player can know which side. It's a little too al dente. First thing, gotta get those enemies alert states. They gotta patrol around, so I put down random points that they could just move between. And then we do that sight check that we were talking about before, checking the grids. When they see you, they move into the angry state. Now the problem with that is they can't just run up after you. If you go around the corner, he can no longer see you. He has no idea where you are. So you gotta do a little something else. Sprinkle some breadcrumbs. Just these invisible points. After a certain amount of time, poof, he loses you. Now, Stone King made something pretty sick. Listen to this track that plays when they get you. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Most of you super fans will recognize that as an inversion on the iconic theme from the classic title Air Bud 2.
When Link opens the chest, it's a very triumphant sound. It totally flipped on its head, so I tried to add some hair on its chest, adding some of those fancy 7ths and 9, trying to just make sure that I could keep as much of that jazzy sound in it as possible without running out of channels on the Pico 8 audio. I didn't want to go too hard on it and show people I got a little bit of a problem.
You might be thinking to yourself, Addy, what a marvel of modern stealth game design. It's perfect. I could see this in Hitman. I could see this in Metal Gear. I could find this in my dad's weird book collection. But I'm sad to say, I am no god, just a demi one. The grid sight system doesn't really work that great. The player can get pretty close to a guard without getting caught, just if they're diagonally positioned from them. To fix this, I didn't. When making the levels, I got rid of the diagonals. I made them corridors. We call that game design, and I call that done. So, what can you take away from this haphazardly made story? Here's a couple things. Choose your engine wisely. Pico 8 may have looked cute, but it probably would have been better to pick something I was familiar with rather than something that seemed easy. And 2, pick an easy game design for a 2-day jam. In my experience, making a stealth AI probably isn't something that you can mix up in a cool and interesting way in that short amount of time. Like it works, but like barely. And 3rd, Mark, man, help. Be helpful, but don't speak so loud. And 3rd, subscribe to my Patreon. I'm gonna leave this ad up here until you do it. You think I won't? If you sign up today, you'll get access to the source code for Mimic, or you can always just play the game for free in the link below. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and friends, remember, until next time, stay sneaky.